Lights are out and we are on our way for our sprint qualifying. Welcome to Kyalami, beautiful South Africa. Only the second time we've entered the continent for a race in this league. And it is, we're following Kato at the moment, who is off a week's break. He's arrived in mainland France now, so we're going to have to see how he does, given that ping is pretty much completely gone off his record. And he's got a major fight for the rest of the season with Kraft, trying to make sure that the Finn does not win another race on the bounce. But we've got quite the technical track here, just north of Johannesburg, one of the capitals of South Africa. We're going to go across the line, and it is Kraft and Goose on the front row. Very tight, 35.33. Class of the field there from Kraft leading the way. Goose in second, 3/10 behind. Then it's Kato and Gwetsley on the second row. UR debuting for Kit Kat, resident South African, starts in P5. Then we have Figueira in P6, showing that last week was no fluke. Kata in P7, followed by Jeff. Then it's 6Y and Matimar in 10th. Following that, Enigma in P11, Mark Andrews in 12th, Vlad and Kissia filling that row for VPT. Then it's Juan and Urist in 15th and 16th. And the last row, Himpo, a late replacement for Jeremiah, who was sadly unable to make it, and Priya rounding the grid with an unfortunate lap there. So, it's wet and wild in Kyalami for this sprint race, and Kubo, what are your expectations going into this race?
Well, Kraft could in fact seal the deal here in Kyalami 3 rounds before the end, with 3 rounds to spare. He's currently got 186 points, and Kader in second has only 94, so that's nearly double. But let's see the sprint here.
Yeah, we've gone straight into the race now, and it's Kato who's got a better start, and he's taken the lead off the road. Kraft is finding some trouble there. He's fallen to P4 now. Matimar challenging as it's Kato and Game on Goose running away in the lead there. Might be a bit of a punt there from Goose. Kato goes wide. Goose takes the lead. Figueira in P3 at the moment, followed by Kraft as they head into that tight hairpin at the back end of the track. Wetsley gets the penalty, and Kraft loses a ton of placements there. Goes offline on the exit of that corner. It is a bunch of trouble for our championship leader, but at the moment it's Enigma and Goose leading the way after lap 1. Oh, Kato just making a dive there, and he actually gets 2 for the price of 1 there. A big shove from Goose is going to cause Kato to go wide and actually give back those positions gain, and it's a further penalty for Kato, just going on the inside of Matimar there, but it is still Enigma leading the way by 3/10. Goose, Jeff and Gwetsley fighting there. Our top 4, Matimar in P5. Then we've got Kraft and Kato fighting for P6 now. Not the start either of these drivers would have been wanting. Figueira behind them. Vlad trying to find a way through. Himpo getting through into P9 as well. Andrews and Urist also behind them. What a wild start. And Kato's going to lose even more places with that exit. That is quite unfortunate. And Kraft also, with the speed off of that first sector, gets past Gwetsley and into P5. And it's still a big battle. Oh, Kraft goes wide, Enigma goes wide. Huge battles here. And no one can get a clean line. It is Jeff now, 6/10 in front, taking the lead here. Goose and Enigma pushing each other super wide onto, I believe, the Crocodile's corner. But again, it's Jeff after lap 3, who's got a second lead over the team, over the rest of the field, but it's actually going to be Kraft who gets into the second place for a minute, and that corner will make sure it is a definite lead for Kraft now. It is a HPT 1-2 as Gwetsley is trying to challenge back into P2. Figueira's got the better speed on both of them though. He might be able to make 2 for the price of 1 here, and Figueira does go into P2. Oh wow, this is very tight, but Kraft goes for the dive and he actually gets it right back. Wow. Oh dear, big trouble there. Kraft loses the positions he just gained just 2 corners ago. It's Figueira in P2. Vlad up into the podium positions as well. Kraft into P4. The Rikers now 5 and 6. Urist in P7 now, trying to get past Matimar, and it is a big pack right behind them. Himpo Andreas, Kato in that mix as well. Enigma, Goose Hippo goes really tight into that corner, loses 4 positions for it. Kissi and Kato behind those two as well. Further back it's 1 and 6Y, and further back as well is Priya, who's not having a good job of it at the moment. But we'll head to the front now.
Draf up to P2 after a crash between, I believe, Vlad and Gwetsley, currently in HPF 1-2, and it's just constant craziness here at this track. It's the sort of track where if you don't run away and focus on running away, you can really just lose all gap, and that's why we're still seeing such a very close midfield.
It is, so we're just over halfway through this race now, and Jeff has made a bit of an error on that corner, on the last few corners, and Kraft has been chasing like crazy, and he's gotten into the slip of his teammate. Will his teammate let him get past for that record win rate? Can he keep going? Can he keep going? Or does Jeff want to keep fighting this out? Priya has gone into the pits for a retirement, but Jeff has made a mistake going into that inside, and Kraft has taken the lead of the race. And the two Heritage performances are just a class of the field at the moment, a long way back from the next two drivers. Matimar now into P3, and it's still a tight fight for that final place on the podium. Figueroa trying to get through, Vlad getting through further back. Enigma, Urist, Gwetsley, and Kato all chasing back. It's going to be a really tight finish, even just for the points, let alone for that final spot on the podium. Matimar makes a mistake, Vlad tries to get through. Figueroa also getting through, it's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Matimar breaks really early, but it's not going to be enough. Figueroa gets into P2, and P3, sorry. Vlad into P4, and Matty now in 5th. Urist in 6th, and Kato, Enigma, Gwetsley. Enigma fighting some trouble in that corner. He's going side by side with Gwetsley. Kato and Urist going side by side. They go really wide into that corner, and Enigma is going to come off the better of those 3, but Kato still holds on to his position for now. But it is Kraft still slightly ahead of his teammate by about half a second. Still has a slipstream effect, Jeff, so any big mistake from Kraft could still prove costly at this race. Big knock-on effect from Kato. He just got onto the inside of Enigma as he was turning, and that's really cost him some time, and it's also cost the drivers behind him even more time now. Gwetsley and Urist really trying to get through the Frenchman. Urist gets a penalty for that. I'm not sure he deserved that. I believe Gwetsley should have gotten a bit more off of that. We're going to go back to the leaders now, because it's Kraft and Jeff. Jeff has actually taken the lead of the race for the time being. And it's absolutely neck and neck as the two head down the front stretch. And it's Jeff in the lead after turn 1. Kraft following behind his teammate. It is a 1-2, as we spoke, with just under 2 laps to go. Matimar seems to have cleared the rest of the field now in P3, and he's looking to hopefully cruise on to the finish line. But it's Vlad who's made a mistake there. Figueroa tries to get past and also doesn't. Enigma's going to get through into P4. And it's still not quite smooth sailing for him yet. Vlad still fighting for that position. And Figueroa and Gwetsley also in that mix as well. It's 4 cars fighting for P4 now. Vlad makes a mistake there. Figueroa and Gwetsley both go through as they start the last lap. It is still really tight between the top 2. Enigma makes a big dive there. It's even bigger. Oh, they're still fighting. We're going to go back to the leaders, and Jeff has made a few critical errors there, and Kraft has actually pulled away. He's 6/10 ahead with just 4 corners to go, and it looks like Kraft is going to be just barely this time winning this race. He takes the sprint ahead of his teammate, and Matimar will hold on to P3. It's a massive fight for this last position. Last few positions, it's Figueroa in 4th, Gwetsley, Vlad, Enigma, Urist, all finishing within a second of each other between those 5 cars. It's Goose in P9, Kato, UR in P12, and it looks like Himpo and Andreas have tied for P13. 6Y in 15th, and Kissia and Juan finished the race at the back. So wow, what a race.
Yeah, that was one crazy race. The HPFs with an amazing performance and their first 1-2 in a while, I believe, thanks to to them just getting away from the pack, and that was really the key here. Matty managed to do it just near the end as well, and the rest of them were just fighting in that pack all the way to the end.
Wow. I'm a bit sad I didn't get the most of that little fight, because it was a proper 5-way scrap between those drivers between 4th and 8th at the end. And then even two positions back from them, there wasn't a big difference between P9 and P14 either, so yeah, real big pack racing, and it's really hard to get away, but the drivers at the front did. Kraf, Jeff, and Matty your podium for today's sprint race. Figueroa, then Gwetsley, Vlad, Enigma, and Urist on the points. 7/10 separating 4th from 8th there. Insanely tight finish. And just on screen now is your non-points finishers, and Priya at the end unable to finish the race, having a bit of overlying problems, maybe also suffered a bit of stutters during the qualifying as well. Bit uncharacteristic to be that slow. But either way, that is only one half of our event here in Challenger League.
Important to note, thanks to struggles from Kader and Kado, Kraft now only needs 14 to build up 14 more points of gap in order to seal the title right here and right now, the Drivers' Championship.
Oh, wow. That is a big difference as well. Is like Kraft could end up first, and Kato, I think his nearest competition, would have to finish inside the top 3 at the minimum to keep this championship on for another round, but it looks a bit inevitable at this point. Kraft has just been completely dominant the whole season, and it is only a matter of time before he gets that title.
I would say the stream at some point didn't have the best of qualities. Was impossible to see the names, like to read the names and stuff. But I think it's better now.
I mean,
I think it's at least it looks great now in the. It looks great now on the screen results now. But yeah, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, thanks.
Also, I hope Graf leaves CL after he wins the title. But it's the rest of the season to be interesting to watch. I don't know why I didn't push for a rule change in CL banning. It should have been a 10.0 average in UL to get banned.
And here we are. Feature race time. And feature sprint. Feature qualifying, what am I talking about? But now all the drivers are on to the slicks. And we're going to see what their one-lap pace is. But the track is all nice and clean and ready to be driven on, really. Following Gwetsley for this first lap, he's making a few tight lines, which you always love to see for the start of a... Really shows out the driver's confidence tackling some really tricky corners, of course. Tight line going through there, good final corner. I'm going to see Gwetsley going to end up with a 7.3. He's going to end up in P2, still 3/10 behind Kraft after his first lap. Strong start. You are actually with a 33.16 going into P2, so he's hoping in his home race that the feature race on dry tyres will better represent his pace than being stuck at the back to start.
Let's see here for a lap 2.
I think Jeff is going to improve just a tiny bit. He will. The 33.93 is only going to put him in P12. Kader into P3.
Kader and Yoa.
Yeah.
Yep, Figueroa also up to P4.
Really tight grid at the moment. Only about 3/10 separating second from 12th at the moment. So It's quite a big difference maker, even though Kraft is quite a bit in front from front three, from the rest of the field, sorry. But it might change.
Enigma only in P14.
Yeah. Alright, any finishes, any changes? Andrews jumps up, Goose jumps up, but it is going to be Kraft and Ewer on the front row to start us off. 33.42 being Kraft's best time, but also I believe his first lap was a 4.3, so it was pretty consistent in qualifying. Ewer tying with Kada on with P2 with a 33.6. They both set on the second lap, so it'll be interesting to see how that gets judged. Vlad and Figueira also tying with a 33.7, and there's a further tie for 6th with Gwetzley and Mart Andreas on a 33.73. After that, those ties, it's sexy to get in 8th, Matimar in 9th, and then Enigma holds P10. Still 4 tenths off the lead. Then it's Kato in 11th. Juan in 12th. Ron in 11th, also tying Kato there. Jeff in 13th. Then it's Goose, Eurist, Kissia, Himpo, and Priya. So, outside of Priya, pretty tight qualifying all round.
As it stands, it is about a 60 points gap still for HPF to deliver on the constructors, but as I said before, Kraft only needs to gain 14 more points over Kader and 16 more over Kado to seal it here on the feature race. So he will have to finish then on the podium at the very least in 3rd in order to get that amount of points, at least 3rd and fastest lap, if not more, and of course it depends on how well Kader and Kado do.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Kado can potentially fight for that lead. Also with Yura starting there, is Kado actually going to be in P2 alongside Kraft as we start ourselves along? It's softs for the first 4. Kado has a bit of a slip up on the start, and Vlad and Yu are completely eating him up to start us off. Kraft takes the lead, holds onto it. Kado still in P2. He makes a mistake though, and Yura takes the lead of the race. Immediately, no, he makes a mistake too. Kado is going to take it now. Oh, it's really tight. There's a massive field now as we enter that giant hairpin at the back of the lane. Kraft taking the lead. No, he's side by side with Kado now. Excellent dive through that hairpin, but he's going to go on the outside. He's lost a lot of time there. Enigma with a penalty. He's fighting the Kit Kats now. 6Y gets in the mix. Matimar as well, also in there, but it's Kado, Gwetzley, and Kado has jumped from, I think, P11 to take the lead of the race.
Oh my god!
No. Oh my god, it's even more trouble down the back of the field. Oh,
Eurist and 6Y really went wide. I believe they got into a lag rocket and they've lost enormous amount of time at the exit of turn 1.
Oh, big penalty there to Gwetzley. He's going to lose out from the very start. He was in that fight for the lead now, and it's allowed Kraft back into this little fight here. But it's Kado, Figueira as well on the mediums there, keeping up with those in front as well. And it's all softs for the top 8, top 9 now as well. As Goose and UR follow alongside this main chasing pack. But Kado makes a move and he's gotten into the lead. Figueira trying to hold on. No, Kado has made a mistake now, and Figueira in the lead on the mediums. Kraft makes a dive. Kado's find a ton of grass there, gets punted wide. And it's Kraft now into the lead. Figueira finding a ton of trouble. Wow, I think Figueira got a penalty for that. Not too sure why, considering he was lost a lot of time there, but it's actually Kraft who's going to take the lead there after initial troubles. He's got himself back in front, and it's Enigma, Matimar, and Vlad chasing him down. But all 3 are looking... Oh, they're looking like they could be holding each other up at the moment. Vlad getting... Wow, massive dive there, getting through Matimar, though he does have a bit of trouble on the acceleration, so Matimar is going to get him back and actually loses position to Gwetzley and to Kader as well. He's going to be blocking Figueira as he's still on the acceleration. Yua has pushed forward into 8th place as well, so it's a big tight fight between 2nd and 8th. Kader makes a massive mistake, and Yua is going to take 3 positions from that. Oh, wow. Just the Costantino effect of one driver making an error. Oh, dear.
Yeah, Gwetzley drops a lot. Him and Figueira and Vlad were 3 wide at some point after turn 1, and he suffered the brunt of it.
Yeah,
But you can see there with
Oh dear, there was a
you
bit
can,
of a jump start there. And both Kit Kats are into
Kraft teleporting.
Yeah, it was
Kraft's teleporting
teleporting.
backwards.
So is Kraft. I was saying we called our Andreas teleporting, but so is Kraft. Kraft.
Eurus just got
where is
forced
he?
off as Kraft's teleporting,
Kraft is.
and he's going all
what
over
is
the
this?
place. He's flying over the place.
Oh dear. We'll try to ignore that for now, but now Kraft is at the back of the field, and I'm not sure if he's maybe getting a disconnect. It might be the case now. Enigma and Matim are headed to the pits, so does Vlad. Figueroa staying out on those medium tyres. Kata into the pits as well, 6Y as well. It looks like it might be fine for Kraft now. Figueroa into the lead. And no, Kraft is still frozen, and it might just be a disconnect for him. That'll be quite the unfortunate way to end his winning streak. It's Figueroa on the medium tyre holding the lead. Jeff, who still has not pit. Then it's Gwetzley, Urist, Matimar is first out of all the drivers who have so far pit, and it is a disconnect from Kraft, and that will end that streak of first place finishes for him. Quite the unfortunate result for him. But we'll have to see. This does open up the position for the rest of the field to maybe get their first win for the season. Well, given it's only been one driver winning so far, we'd have to. It's only the third time this opportunity has really presented itself, so we'll really have to see what can happen from here on in. Matimar's still trying to get through some of these drivers who haven't yet pit. It's Kata right in front of him who has pit though. Into P4, Urist maybe looking at the pit lane now as he's getting shoved away by those on the soft tyres. Urist does dive down to the pits, and also Figueroa coming out of the pits, and he is going to end up behind Kata and Matimar. The undercut does work out. Enigma holds onto the lead for now.
I just have to say, with every race that you saw Kraft in, it's not about getting a good start running away necessarily. It's that he just survived like every start chaos and eventually found his way back up, and that's what some drivers might benefit from doing at CL race starts, because everyone is a stacked grid and everyone fights for the top positions. And they just end up battling each other, letting people behind just catch right back up.
Speaking of, it's Enigma, Matimar and Kata, three-way fight for the lead here. Figueroa behind them on the mediums, happy to keep behind, and so is Vlad, who is on fresh, hard tyres. And you'd have to think the softs are looking a bit dire as we get around to maybe second stop for those soft runners. Getting closer to it. Jeff in P7, then it's 6Y, a long way back in 8th. Gwetzley, Kano and Urist fighting for those last few points. Fighting for 10th now. Goose in 12th, sorry. Cassia, then Andreas. Juan making that pit stop now. Timpo and Priya rounding the grid at the moment. Going to go back. Kata has, I think Kata copped a penalty of some sort. I'm not sure what happened there, but he is still in the lead now. It'll be quite the gift for his team to see him finish on the front. It is still a big fight, huge little incident there. Vlad copping a bit of grass, but he's going to hold on. I think he's going to hold on to the slip. No, he's actually going to fall away from US slip. So this is going to be big implications for the next few laps on how he can try and catch up to the guys on aging soft tyres now. Figueroa still trying to hold on the mediums as well. Not sure what his strategy is from here, as most of the soft runners are simply just going for a 3-stop using only softs. Kata makes a mistake. UR goes in on lap 12, which is quite the early one to go in for. UR is going to go onto the mediums. Kata and Matty still fighting, and Vlad is followed behind them. Still a little bit further away in P4. Then it's Jeff in P5, 6Y, then Urist, Gwetzley, and Kato. I'm going to go further back because it is UR who has made the gambit to go for the undercut, and he's ended up ahead of Enigma as well, who was leading for some points in this race. As we're going to see the leaders head into the pits, it's Figueroa staying out, so is Vlad. Matima on the hards now, and Kato on the softs. Is the undercut going to work out? It looks like it is not. Is UR, oh, big shove there between UR and Gwetzley. UR's gotten through on the mediums, but it's Kada holding on to the front of this pack. All the drivers who have pitted for a second time now. Going to go further back. It's
Yeah, and it's
Figueroa.
interesting. You could go for a 2-stopper, or you could go for even a 3-stopper. Pits are short.
Pits are pretty short. It's Figueroa still in the lead, but he's on the mediums and he's they're slowly dying out for him. I think he made a stop on lap 8. His first stop was on lap 8, so perhaps he's looking for maybe a 2-stop medium hard. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him. He has got a bigger lead as well, thanks to Vlad, who is on the hard tyres and is really finding those tyres hard to work with now as he enters lap 16. I'm not too sure how long he's been running them for so far, but it's actually Kada into third now. Eurus and Matimar tussling it out. It looks like Eurus has got to hold on to P4 for the time being. Matimar trying to make a move here. He goes for the dive. They've got to go side by side through the S's. And Matimar gets through. I think he forced Eurus wide there. But it is still a 3-way fight for these drivers. They're really losing time to Kada here. Matimar losing some time as well to that grass cut. He's got to still be Eurus in front of him. Vlad making that pit stop onto soft tyres, so he is going for a 3-stop after all. And Figueroa still holding on to his mediums on lap 17. Further through the grid. 6Y makes a mistake and it lets UR past quite cleanly. Wow, into P5 is the South African, making a bit of impression and trying to get through to the hard tire runners in front of him. Next up, Vlad, who's just made his stop. He's hoping to make sure he doesn't have to deal with too much trouble. 6Y will make sure of that, entering the pits, hopefully for one last stop. Speaking of one last stop, Figueroa out of the pits on the hard tires. Big little incident there between Eurus and Matimar, and it's let UR through into P2.
Yeah, Matimar asked Eurus to slipstream earlier, but it seems that they've both been battling.
He's lost about 4 positions from that. Wow. Oh, he's really got to make a pit stop now.
Figueroa has just pitted as well.
Yeah, he's looking to hopefully get through on 11-lap old hard tyres to the end. And we're really going to see how that works out against Kada, who is the other big aspirant of this race win. Matimar getting past Figueroa though. His tyres are quite worn. So is Vlad, but actually he is on the softs and he still has another pit to make, but you'd think Matimar needs to pit as well. And so would Jeff as well in P3. So if you could hold on to this P2, he could be looking at a podium here. If he can maybe catch Figueroa at the end, because realistically these 4 drivers we're following right here will be in net fighting for P3 come the end of the race. Figueroa on the hard tyres might be able to hold on to P2. We'll have to see how those hards last around the end of the race. Kada also still needs to pit. Enigma as well in P7 has lost out, and so is Gwetzley. Both drivers surely need to pit to make it to the end from here. Speaking of drivers who have pit though, Eurus on the hard tyres. I did say he needed to go to the pit, and he has done that exactly. Speaking of as well,
Kada's in.
Kada is in, and Kada is out in P6 now on fresh medium tyres. And he is only about 2.5 seconds from the race lead now. And every driver in front of him, bar Figueroa, needs to make one last stop. So maybe Kada can find a way to win here on the mediums. And he's actually made the move on Figueroa. Matimar getting in all sorts in the middle of that fight. And Jeff making a pit stop, trying to undercut his rivals in this little battle. It's still Figueroa and Kada. 6Y has made a stop, and I think he's going to retire from the race. Bit of an unfortunate way to go out there. We're going to go back to the lead now. This fight for P3 between Figueroa and Kata is just getting more intriguing by the minute because Figueroa is not budging from that position, but Kata makes the move. Yua and Vlad both into the pits at the same time. They'll be going for one last stint on the soft tyres here. So is Matimar, Gwetsley, and, wow, Enigma as well into the pits. So after all of those pit stops, it's Kata and Figueroa 1-2. Vlad actually comes out in P3, 3 seconds behind those two at the front. But those soft tyres do be really fast, and he is all alone with no one to impede his pace. So maybe Vlad can make a dash, make a run to the two in front. It's Jeff in P4, followed by Yua, though. They're also on the soft tyre, making that slipstream work. Urist in P6 now is trying to fight Kato, who's on fresher mediums, and Matimar, who's on fresh softs as well. Might be a real struggle for Urist to get the position on those two, but if that happens with those penalties, and with those two making mistakes, it surely could happen for him. The gap between the top two and Vlad has now dropped down to about 2.5 seconds. So the softs are surely working their magic now, and the battling between Figueroa and Kata is not going to be helping their courses. Kata actually making a bit of a mistake, and Figueroa's gotten a second gap on him, and that just draws Kata into the clutches of Vlad here, even more so with 3.5 laps left to play here. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be quite interesting how this finishes. Can Figueroa become a race winner in CL, or will Kata steal that away from them? The top three, I don't think, have ever won a CL race before. Given Kraft's retirement, this is the golden opportunity for these drivers. Kata has gotten back into slipstream. It is quite he's made a bit of a mistake into the beginning of the S's, but he's still onto that slip as the tyres are really going to be starting to bite back on Figueroa now. Kata trying to make a move. He's just a bit too far back. They're going to enter with 2 laps to go, and Vlad has actually caught them completely now with his personal best lap of the race, and he is
I do have to mention Vlad has won CL races before.
Oh, he has?
It was before teams. Yeah, I believe so.
That is my error then, but it is Kata at the moment who's taken the lead of the race. Vlad has made it a bit of an error on those softs as they're going to start dying down too as we enter this last lap of the race. You are getting past Jeff for P4. Might he have a chance to do something about the end result of this race? It is the last lap. Figueroa and Kata making an error there, and it's going to be Vlad parting the way between the two cars. He gets in the second. What can he do from here? Figueroa defending with his life. Vlad makes a dive. Vlad goes through into P1. Oh, he makes the move and he's got to hold on to it. Figueroa is really going to try and fight this back. Kata is falling away into P3. Figueroa makes the dive. He gets a penalty, and that's going to gift Vlad the race win here. And it almost sacrifices him in P2. Vlad is going to take the feature race here in Kyalami. Figueroa in P2 and Kata completes the podium. Yua in his home race completes in P4. Then it's Jeff, Matty, Gwetsley, Urist, Enigma, and Kato, the last points recipient for today. It's going to be Mark Andrews in P11, Goose, Juan, and Cassia in 14th. It's going to be Himpo and Priya a lap down, with 6Y and Kata are retirements for today. Wow.
That was just a crazy race in terms of driving as well. While you were monitoring the fight for the lead, Matimar and Gwetsley really struggling in the pack alongside Urust and Enigma and I believe Kato, and there was a lot of crashes going on there, so that was quite a crazy part as well.
They really did lose a lot of time in that last stint in particular. The gap between 5th and 6th is no lie there. But yeah, maybe that is why Enigma had a bit of an outburst at the end of that race. which is I'd say fairly natural given the pressure and some of the tight, sometimes unfair battles you can be really feeling, really seething as a driver in a competition like this. But that is the results. The top 3 under a second in it, but it's going to be Vlad taking the win. Only one of, I believe, 4 drivers to have won this season now. With Figueroa in P2 as well, a massive result for them. And they actually repeat their P2 from the last feature race as well. And it's going to be Kada with his, I believe, 4th podium of the season. UR on debut will come in a respectable P4, but it's Jeff not able to exactly replicate his heroics in the sprint race, but 5th is a nice result regardless. It's Matty just getting away from that little pack at the last stint there in P6. And it's Wetsley just pipping Urist at the line, Nigma in P9, followed by Kato in P10. Then the gaps really build up between the top 10 and everyone else. It's Mart Andreas, Gamer Goose and Juan having a little fight at the end there. Kissia, Himpo, Priya, and then our retirement 6Y retiring around the 2/3 mark of the race, and then Kraft having that unfortunate disconnect about 6-7 laps in. So yeah, interesting race, and the permutations do mean that Kraft will have to wait a round to secure the title. And Heritage actually, I believe, lose points at least a little bit in this feature race compared to some of their rivals. So, yeah. Anything can happen in CL, and it usually does. And we'll have to see if Kraft can not only secure the title but go back to winning ways next time out. We are headed to the United States Grand Prix, actually on the border between the US and Canada. We're heading to Niagara Falls for next.
Also, quite good to note, Velocity Power Team's first win since Charge GT raced for them back last season. And it was thanks to Vlad as an emergency reserve. I believe this is some of their only points scoring this season as well.
Yeah, it's quite the achievement. They only scored points in 3 races of the 6 so far, and having a win like that is definitely going to boost morale for the team and give them some much needed points to avoid the bottom of the table. Going to be always interesting to see what happens on every side of that standing sheet. But it is going to be the end of our coverage. We're going to head to Niagara Falls next time out. It's going to be a very similar circuit in terms of complexity driving with these cars. And yeah, we're going to see you there next time out. Catch you next time.